Welcome everybody to episode of Forging Brains podcast. I'm Riley Kirkpatrick with my co-host Gavin Cooper. And today we are at Brian's Trailer Shop on Whidbey Island. I don't know if you wanted everybody to know his location, but they do now.
The address is...
We had a team practice this weekend, and we were lucky enough to have a couple of really handy guys come and help us out. And it was Iain Ritchie and John Dixon. Thank you guys for coming to help us out and doing the episode.
You guys are very welcome.
Yeah, thank you. It was a big help.
Yeah, it's huge.
Big help.
So, don't really want to talk about us too much. We'd like to hear more about you guys. Since Iain, you're the oldest, we'll go ahead and start off with you.
Thanks, man. Thanks for reminding me.
And the biggest. So.
There you go.
And what got you into shoeing horses?
All right. I feel like I've told this story hundreds of times, but I'll go over it once more. Started when I was 16. Obviously, with the accent, you can tell I'm not from here. From Scotland, which is part of the UK. In the UK, we have a 4.5-year apprenticeship system. Mm-hmm. So I started at 16. Worked with an amazing farrier who recently passed away, but he was definitely a mentor and a massive influence in my obviously shoeing career, but obviously my life as well. He definitely molded me into the guy I am now, or one of those guys that molded me. So come 20, 21 years old, I was qualified. I was on the register, on the Farriers Registration Council.
Yeah.
Ooh. And
this was in Scotland?
In Scotland, yeah. Served my apprenticeship just east of Edinburgh. The college, the school, at the time there was only one in the UK. It was the Hereford School of Farriery. Hereford's in the south-west of England, so I had to travel down there. It wasn't easy. I can't stress enough how it wasn't easy. In the UK, you can't drive until you're 17.
Oh.
So I couldn't even get there. I had to get the train to Glasgow. From Glasgow all the way south, it took me like all day. And in one hand, I had a little bag of tools. On my backpack, I had some clothes. And in the other hand, I had my bike, my 10-speed racer. That's the only way I was going to get from my digs to the college. So it was a very humble start for me. Even the first year, I remember it was a tough year. The first year was not great, but things have only gotten better. And it's now we're in year 34, and I can honestly say that every year's been getting better. I really do.
Why do you say that first year was so tough? What was tough about it?
I was sweeping floors, making tea, fetching newspapers, getting the old boss cigarettes. All I was doing was wrenching and clenching. So all I was doing was pulling off, clenching,
learning to be an apprentice.
Learning to be an apprentice. Bending old horseshoes, making them straight, making them square, making them round. I wasn't getting to use new steel, cut new stock. There was none of that.
And so did high school not go till you were 18?
It did. I was young for my age. I went to grade 11, equivalent to grade 11.
Okay. I
had my university qualifications that would allow me to get to a university. I didn't need them. I got into the School of Farriery. I think I was definitely the only Scottish guy in my class. Therefore, I was funded by the government at the time.
Really?
So the boss paid my wages, which were very minimal. But the government bought my tools, paid for my education, paid for my lodgings when I was away. I was even paid to go to college by the boss. He would give me my weekly wage. There it was, off you go for it was block release. So I went for 6 weeks at a time. And just being away from home, maybe some people can handle it better at 16, and I did, we managed fine, but at 16 there's no cell phones, there's no writing home, your pals, your folks. You had to go to the payphone down the road if you wanted to communicate with people back home.
You're completely disconnected.
Yeah.
Did you have to do anything to qualify for this, for Scotland to fund you? Or were they just like, you're the only one interested?
I was the only one interested. So there you go. Get going, there you go. We'll help you as much as you. Scottish Development Agency, the SDA, I always remember them helping me out financially. To get into the college, you had to go down and do a little test. it was just a formality.
Okay, yeah.
8 hours drive, down you go, which in the UK, you'd be in the UK, it's a massive drive. 8 hours, it's like a long weekend, you know. Mum and Dad took me down, did a little test. You're not making horseshoes. You're making it's an aptitude test. You're making a little forging eye thing. You had an oral chit chat with a couple of the instructors at the time, and they rubber stamped it, and then I was accepted.
Did you have you done any forging before you did that test?
No, just bending old horseshoes, practice making this little eye hook thing, and then the boss gave me the pat in the back and sent me on my way. Yeah,
that is
sink or swim. Yeah. And it was. I mean, looking back, it was an amazing experience, but to do it all again, boy, it was tough. It was tough.
Oh, I bet it was super hard. Yeah. And it was because you're also getting like. Did the learning curve get real steep once you got there, even though they just had you doing little stuff? Was it still harsh work, you know?
Definitely. You're in there, you're jamming 6 weeks worth of learning in. You're doing a whole bunch of stuff in the classroom in the morning, into the forge in the afternoon. Lots of live horse stuff. I can't remember if we were shoeing. I think we were shoeing right off the bat. Don't remember too much about it, to be honest. It was so long ago. We had a bunch of amazing instructors that were pretty famous at the time in the UK. A couple of vets would come in and help us. It was great stuff. I'm still pals with some of the guys that I was in college with. The first term, I suppose, at college must have been 1989. The only Scottish guy there, but here we're first year, obviously. The third years are there as well. Have you heard these stories? You've heard all this crap.
Yeah, every day.
And there was a third year group in there as well, and I kind of got pals with a guy. I would pick the soccer team at lunchtime. I had a ball. We'd play football, soccer at lunch. I'd pick the team for the first years, and this other guy would pick the team for the third years. We'd play each other. His name would just have to be a guy called Darren Bazin.
Yeah.
3-time world champion. And there's another guy in the class, in the third year class, Scottish guy, so I had to go find this guy right away, a guy called Derek Gardner. So I was in class. We were all there at the same time. Little did I know they were going to go on and be
who they are now.
Aye. Just amazing farriers, people and champions in the trade. So that was cool.
You said some of your instructors at that time were really well known. Who were they?
A guy called Tom Williams, little Welsh guy. A guy called Tom Wright, another little Welsh guy. I think, I could be wrong, they were both ex-military. There was no nonsense with those guys.
Yeah, no horsing around.
I always remember Tom Williams. He's a bit of a boxer, a bit of a fighter, you know. And all the farriers would go out at night time, and he warned us, if any of us got into any fights, you make sure everybody jumps in. No man gets left behind. You make sure, and did this Welsh accent, and you made sure you got in there and you helped out. No man gets left behind to get a doing, you know. So they were a tough crew. There's a guy there, he'd just come in, a guy called Alan Woodiat. I think he's still teaching at Hereford. I think he's back to Hereford now. When we went with the Canadian team 4 years ago, they invited us in to come and use their facility, which was cool to go back to Hereford, to have Alan Woodiat go over all of our stuff. It was cool to turn the clock back 30 years, and it was cool for me. That was a good deal.
And Daniel Bennett?
Daniel Bennett was not around when I was at college, no. But there was a couple others. But Tommy Williams, Tommy Wright were the two that I remember. They were the ones that made the impression, just that hardcore, no nonsense, none of this snowflake stuff. They would not even get in the door. They would not even get in the door back then.
The teaching methods that you were taught, do you think those should be kind of implemented more nowadays, like with farriery? Like, do you think we need kind of a system or a standard like that, whether it's in Canada or United States?
You mean the apprenticeship thing or the hard line thing? Because the hard line thing's a social issue. That's not a horseshoe thing. That's a social thing.
Yeah. That's something kind of different, but...
So you're asking me if I think there should be regulations in horseshoe?
Yeah, it could be a kind of
how long have you got?
Let's
as long
get
as
into
you
it.
got.
We tried some sort of regulation in Canada 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And me personally, I was Switzerland. I had my qualifications, so if they wanted to go that route, I was fine. I was going to survive regardless. Mm-hmm. I was going to carry on and do my thing. Do I personally think it's going to make a big difference? No. I don't think that's the way. There's lots of other reasons. I assume, let's just go back a few steps. I assume they want to implement regulation to try and improve the standard. But I think you get some crappy, shitty jobs, not because we're not all been through school, college. There's so many other reasons why there's shitty horseshoeing out there. I don't think schooling or regulation is the reason to fix it.
But do you think, like, our schooling's so different here?
Yep.
And so how do we kind of help our schooling get standardized? Or do you think that we're all in America a little bit daydreaming that the UK is that much better than here?
Couple of questions there.
Yeah.
Do I think the UK? Oh boy, it's tough to say. I haven't been out and about seeing everyday horseshoeing in the UK for years. But the stuff that I did see even 20 years ago, there's just as much junk over there as there is over here. Is that true? I'm sure if you go to the cowboy country, step away from the populated areas like here on the coast, Vancouver, if you were to step away, I'm sure you see a lot of junk, a lot of terrible shoeing. Maybe there's kind of lose my train of thought here, but there's lots of poor shoeing in the UK for many other reasons other than their education system. So I don't think, yes, the school system should be longer. Look at speaking to your man earlier on that'd been to the college for 2 months. Mm-hmm. That's not the way to go.
Yeah.
But somewhere in between might be a better idea.
Yeah, so like, would you go back on, like, do you think your 4.5 years in the college, it's how long you said you were there, I think do you think it was drawn out a little bit? Do you think that was too long?
No, not for me. I look at the college in Langley, British Columbia. It's a 9-month program. They learn all the same stuff, but they just all cram it in week after week after week. Whereas for this guy, going and learning for 6 weeks, that was great. Soaked in just enough, go home, practice it, get better at it. Then 6 months later, it's time to go back for another 6 weeks. So you go back, and that suited my pace of brain better than just 9 months of jamming it all in.
Yeah.
So it was a personal thing. I didn't have a choice, but it just worked out for me better.
No, it makes a lot of sense. But it is hard, I think, like, I think us as Americans want there to be some sort of standardization, and I don't know if we want there to be regulation.
Yeah, not necessarily regulation, but in a way to up the standard, I guess, to kind of get everybody else on board. Be kind of the way that I would think about it.
Yeah, so it's like I do think we daydream a little bit that it's the UK is this like shining star of regulation just because we probably don't know.
I don't know anyone that has the answer to that. I don't know anyone that goes to the UK and looks at everybody's job to decide if it's better or worse. I think there's tons of good work, lots of good work over there. Their competition work's better. I'm quite happy. I'm quite confident to say their competition work is better. They're definitely stronger. But is the bottom any higher up than the bottom here? Who's to say? I don't know.
Yeah.
We just talked about it on the way here. There's lots of reasons why the bottom's there. We get sore. We get tired. We're in a rush home to meet the wife, girlfriend for an anniversary dinner. Oh, you're just going to knock out a couple more quick ones. Oh, we can do these in 40 minutes. You're going to cut corners. So many reasons why there's a low standard somewhere, and I think we're all lying if we say we haven't been there.
Oh,
we're all guilty of
getting
through it. You're the first person we've had on the podcast that's been through that apprenticeship, so it's just kind of first person been able to ask. So
I personally like it. It suited me. Coming here to the UK is this size. Come to Canada, America, which is this size. Who's going to police it? First of all, who's going to police that?
Yeah, that is the tough part.
So
can't police the things we already got.
So I just see lots of problems with it. But for me, it suited me personally at the time.
Yeah, it would be nice if there was an option, I guess, for people to go to a longer schooling like that here.
They tried in Canada, in Calgary. There's a college there, and they tried to do a 2-year program. I think it was around for 2 years. Yeah, it got kiboshed. Didn't pan out.
That's what Gavin went to.
It was a 2-year
program.
Jeff Engler in Walla Walla.
Right.
And
That's a great program. Why did it not pan
it
out?
was funding,
Funding, right.
and
Gotcha.
lack of students, I guess, then creates lack of funding.
Right.
So, yeah.
Lack of students because they want to go somewhere with and get a quick fix.
Yeah, something
I
a
want
bit
to do it in
easier.
6 months. I want to go 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they have like that huge diesel tech program that probably overpowers it in
That and
popularity.
then, the way the world's going to technology. And
Yep,
so,
goes that way.
just the generation that's coming up,
Yeah.
it's probably harder and harder, less and less people wanting to get involved with shoeing horses. Kind of what I would think.
So how long did you shoe in the UK after you got out of college?
I stuck around. I was graduated in '93. I stuck around for a year and a half with my boss. I felt obligated to try and work, learn some more, compete a little bit, and kind of pay him back. It was I felt obligated to do that. And then in '95, I took off. In April '95, I took off travelling. I went to Asia for a little bit, Australia, New Zealand, and then I came home via California, and then I hit this town called Vancouver, and I met.
How long were you in these other? You're like
Yeah,
Asia,
just
New
Asia.
Zealand.
I was away for 10
Skip
months.
around. Okay,
I was away for 10 months, yeah.
just having fun.
Yep, I shot a bunch of horses in New Zealand. Didn't do much shoeing. I worked in the racetrack in Sydney. I bummed around. I'd saved up a bunch of money, and I went scuba diving off the Great Barrier Reef, and I did all the bungee jumping you could throw at me, and
Really?
I did all that stuff. Yeah. Played a whole bunch of soccer, and then eventually made it to Vancouver, and I met this guy's dad.
Really?
Yes, I stayed with some friends I'd met a year or so before that, and they wanted to introduce me to their farrier. And this guy shows up in the door one day. Hey, I knew he was coming, but he shows up in the door with 2 coffees. I said, hey, he said, I brought you coffee. I said, I don't drink tea or coffee. He says, I'm not sure. I think you and I will get on just fine. And he took both the coffees, and him and I went off shoeing for the day, and we were best pals.
Just like that.
For nearly 20 years.
That's awesome. And how did you work with Steve then?
Hey, off and on for a little bit, and then in '98, trying to get my dates off. Yeah, '98, I came across. I wanted to stay and give it a shot. There was nothing. I mean, I love Scotland. There was nothing wrong with Scotland. I wasn't getting away or escaping. I just saw a little opportunity in Vancouver. I felt like I was going to fit in. And Steve and his first wife at the time, John's mum, they provided me with a job, so it was easy to qualify for my work permit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was in. Once I got my work permit, I got my little card, and I was good. I was going to apply for my landed immigrant status, and it was all part of the process. It all went forward from there.
Is it hard to become a citizen of Canada?
Don't know. I'm not one yet. I'm still a permanent resident. I've got to go sit a test and answer a few questions on Justin Trudeau, and don't fancy getting involved with any of that. And my little permanent resident card, other than the kerfuffle at the border this morning, it lets me do everything that John does. So.
How long does it last? Like I know it's permanent.
It's permanent, yeah. I have to renew it every 10 years, just like a passport.
Oh,
So,
okay.
other than crossing the border into the States.
Could they ever just be like complete dicks
No.
and just when you go to renew, be
No, I
like,
don't think. You've got to follow the criteria, make sure you're paying your taxes, all that kind of.
Yeah.
As long as you're being a good human being, they're more
Not
than
going to
happy
get in
have you
any
around.
trouble.
you don't have to pay any more taxes being
No.
No, he's really treated like a second-rate citizen. Yeah, he really is.
Well, in America, they probably would treat you like a second-rate citizen.
No, they're good. The permanent resident card is just fine. My mum and dad have immigrated since. My brother, they've all got their citizenship. I'm just too lazy to fill out the paperwork. It's as
Do
simple as that.
they live by you?
Mum and dad live on my property, yep.
Okay.
Nice. And what is that? Did they move to Vancouver just to be closer to you then?
I think so, yep.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, they came in 2009, so 10 years or so after me. And we all lived together. Well, my brother's not. But mum and dad live in the property. My dad cuts the grass, fixes fences, does the driveway, bitches at him for driving too fast. Mum looks after the kids, does the cooking, does the kids cleaning sometimes. It is an amazing little system, and I can't thank them enough for helping me out, because I wouldn't get to do what I do without their help.
Yeah.
They are watching the kids right now, you know. So.
Slavery is still alive and well in Canada.
elderly and child labor.
Yeah. No, it works out well. It works a good system.
Well,
How long have you been a slave, John?
you know child labor probably very well.
That was about as much fun as a hand job with a cheese grater. Thanks for that, Ian. No, I started shoeing horses, not really shoeing horses, but just pulling and clenching when I was 14 years old. I was just doing some fencing work, and I thought, hey, Dad's got a coffee addiction, I've got an ice cap addiction, like, let's make this thing work. So he stopped at Tim Hortons about 6 times a week, or a day, sorry.
6 times a day?
Oh, yeah. And every time you were getting an extra large double, and you had to drink it. And so
Is Tim Hortons, is that like a market?
a coffee shop.
Okay.
Coffee
It's
shop,
like Starbucks of America.
It's the Canadian, Starbucks, exactly.
It's Canadian Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah. Dunkin' Donuts, maybe not high class as Starbucks. So that's how I started, just pulling some shoes, and I did a couple of local contests until the time I was 17, and then.
Well, me and you were talking about that earlier. That one of your first, like, not first contests, but like.
Yeah, it was the first time I ever competed in Division 2, which is our intermediate division, I guess, and you get to shoe a foot, not only a foot, 2 feet in that contest. So I ran over the clock. I didn't finish that year. The judge was some random guy named Craig Turnka, and my dad happened to be holding the horse, and Craig came over and said, good try, little guy, maybe next time, and how many times has your son shod horses? And he goes, 1 and 2. He goes, what do you mean 1 and 2? Like, is it 1 or 2? He goes, no, first foot, second foot. So that was the first time. Ran over the clock. Probably did a horrible job. I don't really remember.
It didn't bleed though, huh?
Hey, it didn't bleed. Yeah, didn't get the nailing. So he was the Joker, And then 2011, I graduated from high school, and so I ended up working for Dad, Steve Dixon, 3 days a week, and then this other guy, Iain Ritchie, 2 days a week. So that was 5 days a week that I worked, and then I did that for about 4 years.
Tell us about your schooling, John.
Yeah, I didn't. So my parents were so broke that they couldn't afford to help me out with schooling, so I had to pay for it myself, and I just never got the money together. I just
Still saving.
Yeah, I'm still saving.
Man.
Yeah,
Good.
I had other things on my mind like pot and women, so, in that order. So after a couple of bong hoots, I decided, you know what, let's just send this thing. So I got an apprenticeship. I don't know if you want to call it that, but I worked with those two guys for 6 years altogether, and then I went off on my own. So I think it's been about six years since then. So I guess 12 years altogether since I've been 17, just shoeing horses. And back to the slave labor. I think Dad paid me $50 a day. I'm pretty sure Ian started me out at $80 a day, which was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I could maybe take 2 bong hoots a day, which is pretty wild.
Your dad is paying you all
Getting
that coffee
crazy.
too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, uppers and downers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, drink that boy into the ground. But yeah, that's kind of how I got my start.
Did they? So like, was anything real formal how they taught you, or was it very much just like throwing things at you randomly?
Yeah, I think it was. I think just because Ian maybe had his formal apprenticeship in the UK, maybe a little bit more formal than my dad. If anyone knows Steve Dixon, you can well imagine what that was like. That was like a get out there for 7:30 and then feed the horses, and then maybe push up some manure, and then maybe do a bit of fencing, and then maybe go shoe 7 or 8, and then come home and then feed horses and do all that, where I think Ian maybe was a little bit more regimented, it was great because I got both sides of the story. I got kind of the Steve Dixon side, where it was like, I'm a farrier,
going.
farmer, family man, you know, all that kind of stuff. Whereas Iain was like, show up at 7:30, get the truck all sorted out. We'll be back by 5:30, and if we're not, if we're in the shop at 4:30, you know, you're still mine for an hour. So start cutting some steel, or you know, Iain maybe have a dentist appointment. Go make some shoes, you know, go start making some draft shoes, whatever it may be for the week. So it was definitely a juxtaposition for the apprenticeship that I served, and I think it really kind of helped.
I would like to think
out.
that Steve and I would complement each other in your education.
Yeah. I disagree. You bet.
Getting both sides, getting the structure and then the freedom side, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, the freedom to feed
freestyle.
horses until 9 p.m. at night and walk a colicking horse around until 12. You know, it was
That sounds like my life. It's all over the place. Did your dad take on a lot of apprentices?
Yeah. Dad used to boast that he taught the most female apprentices in the valley. Maybe Iain's taken that throne over. I'm not quite sure. We shan't go into that, but yeah, no, he had a lot. I mean, none as good as me, but I mean, my brother worked for him, so whatever.
Did he treat all of his apprentices like how
Shit? Yeah, no, he did. He really did. Yeah, it didn't matter if he came from his testicles or not. You know,
You had to walk the colicky horse tail.
Yeah. He had Jack Cadle, Justin Fountain. I think Jack worked for Iain as well, and I think he gave up on Dad because Dad was just too hard on him. You know, Jack's a bit of a soft guy. You know, he really is. Yeah, he's a bit of an Oreo. You know, hard on the outside, but white on the inside.
That's his new nickname, Oreo.
Oreo boy.
Yeah. Jack Kettle.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But no, Dad was true and through, just a dickhead, the same dickhead to everyone that walked through the door, whether didn't matter if your gender, creed, age, anything. He didn't discriminate. He was just a pure asshole, but it was awesome working for him, and it was really an honor, you know, and to say that I don't use his name like a weapon sometimes when I'm out at contests would be a lie, because, you know, you just drop the Stevie D name and people are, oh my God, you know, Steve's your dad, you know, and they just have all these awesome stories about, you know, Dad just going out awry. And
Everybody's got a Steve Dixon story.
yeah.
You had one earlier.
Yeah.
Everybody has one. I've got dozens. I've got hundreds, but you guys have at least got one.
Steve judged is kind of cool too. Is that your dad judged the first time I went to Classic? And
Wow.
So he was the judge, and we were all sitting around at the hotel, and he came walking up with his Dixon cider and shirt on, and Brian asked him, "Is like, is that a real company?" He's like, well, yeah. Haven't you heard? Once she said Dixon cider, she hadn't have anything else.
Sounds about right.
You got a great one right off the top of your head.
Oh no, too many to share. Steve Dixon stories.
Yeah.
But anyone that got to meet the guy, hang out with the guy, work with him, compete with him, drive with him. I've driven to Calgary with him a bunch. I've driven to Walla Walla with him a bunch. Mm-hmm. Some of the stories, I mean, I'm sure somebody's going to write a book on the guy at one point. Some of the stories and the laughs were incredible.
Yeah, I can't say that I've ever met him before.
Oh, all right.
So
Too bad. For me, he made it fun. He made, coming from Scotland, and I'm not saying they're a nation of no fun guys, but I was definitely on the outskirts looking in Scotland. But you come here or come to Canada and you hang out with Steve, and it was like, he would open doors all the time, you know, or open doors for you, just with his laughs and his jokes and his goofy feet, and it was cool. It was one of the he made it fun, and that was one of the reasons that I thought, yes, this is a corner that could suit me just fine.
Yeah,
but to ask me one story, there are just so many.
It's crazy to think that you found a home that quickly in another corner of the world.
Yeah. You the first day we went working together, One day I went to hang out with him. I wasn't really working. We're just driving down some little lane. Radio's blaring, nothing much was getting said, and we're passing a little farm, and I said, "Oh, that's a cool looking little place over there." And he rams his brakes on, and he just does a little broadside. And he says, "You know, shit," he says, "that's where we're supposed to be going. But you know what, it's lunchtime." And he tapped the clock. "Let's just go for lunch at the pub." And I thought, "Whoa, lunch in the pub on a Tuesday after? This is amazing. This is not the kind of thing you do in the UK where you get up at 7:30, you just go hard till 6:30 at night, and you're finished. You know, we're going to go to the pub for lunch and chill out and take the West Coast pace." It was brilliant, and it was another thing. I thought, yes, this is good for me.
But it sounds. Do you run your day like that now?
No, we don't. No,
That's what got me here, but fuck that. We're over with that stuff.
Mortgage this size? Oh no. No. I like to go hard. I like to. We're out the driveway at 8 o'clock. We're home by no later than 5:36. We bring our lunch. We don't do pub lunches, or we might stop. Well, we will stop at the coffee shop once a day, and that is it. We'll just go pretty consistent the whole time. Consistency for me is key. We're doing our 7 or 8 every day. Not.
Do you always carry an apprentice with you?
I try to. Yep.
Yeah. 7 days a week or 5 days a week?
5 days a week. Yeah. Lots of female apprentices up where we are. I was asking Trent. Was it Trent? Trey. I was asking Trey earlier on how many females were in his class, and there's definitely more in the school in Langley. I think there's 11 students, 1 guy, 10 girls.
Wow.
That's crazy, you know.
Yeah.
Don't ask me the percentage rate of them moving on, you know, if they're still in the industry in 5 years. I don't have those numbers. I just wonder why.
I was going to say, when you've been talking to them, do they tell you why? Like,
when I first moved here, there was a lady that ran the school, Cindy Elstrom, an amazing, strong lady. Was she around long enough to influence these new ones coming through? No. She passed away 20 years ago. Jeez. So probably she's not the one that's influencing the current crop now. Is it the fact that we've got soft feet up here in the northwest or the west coast?
Yeah.
Is it the fact we've got soft feet? I don't know. But there's definitely lots. Last year the ratio for the school was the same. 1 guy, 9 or 10 girls.
It's interesting.
Crazy. No, yeah, it seems like I don't talk to enough people in the UK to see. I wonder if they're seeing the same thing, because they have pretty wet feet there as well, too, right?
Yeah. When I went through college, there was 1 girl.
Really?
Yeah.
Opposite way around then. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think the ratio is in west of Canada. It's not 10 and then 1, but I'm sure there's more girls coming through.
Yeah, well, I think it's a thing of like all trades. Like girls are getting into more trades all the time.
Talking to a gal there at the winter clinic, and she was at the Heartland School, and she said over half the class was females this last.
Well, I had an electrician come out the other day, it would have been a girl.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's like, no, I don't have anything wrong with it, but it's like first time I had a girl electrician.
Maybe it's a good thing, you know?
Yeah.
Brian's over there laughing. He's busting a gut over there laughing because I've had.
Because he's a misogynist.
Steve had a lot of female apprentices. I've had a lot.
Yours are all Instagram models.
He's so full of it.
You got the hotties, huh?
Here, Brian, have a shot of these. I get on with them. They get on great in the truck. I think they finish. You would think. Do they have the longevity? Who knows? I don't have the numbers to back that up. Do they stay in the industry as long as some of the guys? Again, who knows? I don't know. You don't see them around as much, but that's not for me to say if they're in the industry as long.
Do you try to bring your apprentices up through like competition and go to contests, or?
Yeah, so I do. I obviously don't do it properly because none of mine seem to. They might stick their toe in the water, and that is it. They don't seem to stick at it. I've only ever had one, since I've been here, how many, 20 odd years, I've only ever had one apprentice that's gone on to compete.
How many apprentices, do you have a guess how many you've had?
Let's say 12.
Okay.
12? Mm-hmm.
Pretty good guess.
What about Jack Cadle?
Jack was probably the first one, yeah. He was... Jack was the first one. He went to the Olds program in Alberta, in Calgary, and their program, I don't know, I think they did the same amount of time at college. It was a whole year at college, but they took 3 months out in the summer and then got farmed out. And he wanted to come to British Columbia, to the West Coast. And he didn't tell anyone this, but his girlfriend had come to the British Columbia to the West Coast, so he just wanted to follow her out. Mm-hmm. And he ended up on my doorstep, and him and I got on great. He was a rodeo rider, bull rider, tough guy, He had lots of laughs. We had lots of giggles. And he showed up one morning at my place, and I could hear something going on. There was a bit of a ruckus outside, and I look over the fence, and there he is kicking his truck. He was mad. He was madder than a wet hen at his truck. And I'm like, Jack, what's going on over there? He says, I was just on the way here, and I stopped at the gas station. And I'm like, yep. He says, well, when I was leaving the gas station, now he's laughing. When I'm leaving the gas station, I saw somebody's gas cap, so I run the damn thing over. And what's the problem? He says, well, I just got here and I realised that was mine. On his own gas cap. So Jack was full of laughs. He was a good guy. He was a good worker. And then he kind of went off and did his own thing for a while and come back, and we're pretty good pals. And he's still got lots of...
You say Cadle, you mean, is it kettle?
Yeah.
Jack, okay.
Yeah.
I think he's pronouncing it.
Yeah, it's actually pronounced Cadle, but I think everyone called him Kettle because he was drinking Kettle vodka the whole time. Yeah.
Well, I know Jack.
So I think Jack was one of my first back in 2003, and there's been a whole bunch of others come through. And do I try and encourage him to do the competition? Absolutely, but I look at my good pal James Findler, who's had way more success at that than I have. He's had a bunch of apprentices go on and be in the Canadian team. One of his girls even went on. She was in the Canadian team and she got her AW. I'm not quite sure does he threaten them? Does he blackmail them? Does he pay them more money? I've got no idea what he does to inspire them to go that route. But
Do they have scheduled time they have to practice?
with me, no. Do they with James?
Well,
I
as I say,
don't think
yeah,
so.
to-
I don't
to
think
see
so.
Maybe.
I'm not sure. I need to sit down with him. I need to go golfing with him and just pick his brain. How do you do it? Because I've tried and you've tried. You don't get yours in the shop either, do you?
I don't pick his brain for golf. He sucks.
Well, he's really... that's another story. But you've tried with your apprentices. They don't come in the shop?
No.
You don't have a shop. I've got a shop. It's
Yeah.
pretty... Yeah, it's as good as Brian's.
It's about 5 times the size, actually.
Findler's got the shop. It's pretty rough and ready, and yet they still want to... I don't know what he tells them or what he does for them, but he seems to inspire them, and that's one thing I need to work on. I need to figure that out. Do I have them listen to podcasts? Do I have them
You should.
just show up
You
at
should
the...
definitely have them listen to the podcast, subscribe, and leave a 5-star review.
Right, 5-star review. All right, well, that'll be the first thing on Mondays.
What
Monday
podcast is that, Riley?
Forging Brains podcast.
Oh, Forging Brains podcast.
we will do that.
Exactly. That will help them on their way.
All
for
right,
sure.
that's guaranteed in. Guaranteed success.
But no, I think it is a thing that that someone is good at, because you take a guy like Jim Poor. Jim's never had an apprentice that didn't make the AFT. You know,
Really?
so every apprentice he's had has been on the team.
That's amazing.
So it must be something they do in their
There has to be something.
teachings.
Because I've tried, I've not really tried, it's not really a necessity, but I give them every opportunity to help them, to provide a shop with a beautiful anvil. I've got the best music system.
ABBA all day.
ABBA, if they want to listen to ABBA, they just come to my shop. And I obviously don't inspire them or steer them the right way, and it doesn't bug me, but I'm going to try and work on it. There's definitely some guys out there, I don't know if... let's not go that road. I know a couple of guys that are very inspiring. We've got one of them coming up our neck of the woods in November. Mr. Chad Chance.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard him speak?
Yes.
If so, I'm going to make sure my people, the 2 girls I've got right now, they have got to be front and centre to listen to Chad Chance. And if he doesn't inspire them, if he can't get through to them, then they're in the wrong game, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and maybe does it seem like maybe some of your apprentices are especially the girls, they're in it for the money?
Not really. I'm thinking about the one I've got just now. She's a great gal. But they can't wait to get home at 5:36, getting them start their own truck and out the driveway. Yeah. That
That is hard.
I don't quite know. I'm still a bit of a mystery.
why that is.
Yeah.
Even are you not competing as much as you used to then, kind of like currently, or are you still going to as many contests as you have been in the past?
I think I'm going to do a few this year. Yeah, I've got a few lined up coming up this year.
He's retired.
Semi-retired. Honestly, you guys, he knows because he's at the state. You've got to pick and choose your battles. You've got to choose which ones you go to now. You can't just go to them all and be a watered down version of your best self. You've got to really pick and choose your battles. So I've picked a few already this year. We've got our own nationals coming up in June. We've got a couple of team events in between, or a team event in between, and then one probably just after. So that's as far as I'm looking right now.
I guess I was just kind of wondering along the lines, like when you are getting ready for contests, like what is your practice regimen like, and how do you go through like to figure out new shoes, things like that?
I've been at it long enough. If I've got a really tricky shoe, I need some help. I know all the right people to call, to speak to, the videos, the photographs. They can help me out as best they can. But the easy stuff like that thing John just knocked out, I like to work in the morning, do the early morning thing, and maybe go late, get the kids put to bed, go back out at 8 o'clock and have another little crack and see if we can do. But I'm not a massive practicer. I've never been the guy that's made bucket loads and bucket loads of shoes. Which is why my forging is just not where it maybe should be or never has been. The shoeing was always a bit better, but I reckon I always struggle with the forging more than most.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so how many times have you been on the Canadian team?
4.
Yeah, so obviously you're forging.
Yeah, you don't get there just
too much
by not making.
All right, with all due respect to the Canadians, it's not as hard to get on the. Can I say that?
Yeah.
It's not as hard to get on the Canadian team.
Can I say this?
It's easy.
It's not as hard to get on the Canadian team. Some years you just.
Show up. Yeah.
We had our nationals a bunch of years ago. You tick the box if you want to be in the team. You know, you go down through the list, you find all the. I think there was only 5 boxes ticked. So the guy that was in 20th was the alternate. It's not the. We don't have the depth. There's no shame and embarrassment. I'm not disrespectful to Canadian Farriers. We just don't have the depth that the Americans do, the English do. I'm not even sure which countries have the massive amount of depth. The Scottish don't, the Irish don't, the Welsh don't.
Is it easier then to kind of get like a group of buddies to all?
We've done that. We've done it.
Yeah.
Again, longer in the tooth. If I'm going to invest mass somewhere and think about going to Stoneleigh, I've got to do it with the people that I think, this is no secret, I've got to do it with the people that I think can make an impact. Unfortunately, my best guy just moved to Texas last year, so I don't know if we'll get him back again.
So he's stuck with me.
So I'm stuck with John. Stuck with John.
Texas?
Matt Findler.
Oh,
Matt
he
Findler.
did?
He was
Did he move to Texas? I had no idea.
Yeah, he moved to Pilot Point. So he is he was a good point getter at Stoneleigh or the Classic. He would get you some serious points. And so will John, and so will Justin, and so will Jack. And there's a whole. There are others out there. We have got
Aaron.
Oh, I mean, we can go on. There's some real good point getters in Canada. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, Aaron.
But I just Matt
the year on Classic, he got best shot foot.
Yeah. Matt was half an hour from me, so we could practice a lot. It was good.
And I remember talking to Matt before, and he said he didn't apprentice with his dad too much, or like work with him too much when he was younger. But did he work with his dad when he was older then? Like
Yes. Yeah. He went through Heartland, and then I think he probably worked with James for 4 years, something like that. And as Iain said, he's a point getter, so he's just unfortunately he's just naturally talented. The prick.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if he's a prick. He's wasn't super nice to me.
no, he's
really
a dickhead.
handy.
Yeah, he's honestly But I think he just, again, like Iain said, he worked with James, and James produces some pretty good talent. I don't know what he does, but
You don't have any idea.
no, like he's not talented himself, James. So like
James is talented.
I really don't know. Like
James is talented.
Have you been on a team with James?
I've been on a team. We didn't go to Stoneleigh together because he fell out a cherry tree 10 years ago, and he fell out a cherry tree the week before we were going. So he never made it that year. We've been to the Classic a bunch. We've done I even survived a weekend in Las Vegas with James Findler. And I've got the T-shirt.
I've got the T-shirt.
Yeah, James is a massive influence in my competition. But everyday shooting, I know he does some amazing shooting, everyday shooting. His competition stuff was, when I was trying to climb that ladder, I was at the bottom trying for ages, trying to get up, and he was there. He was consistently top 10 in Calgary. So anyone that can do that is,
Yeah, you're handy.
oh yeah, you got to tip your hat to that guy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
He's been top 10, I think, 4 times.
Yeah.
3 or 4 times for sure.
Hall of Famer.
You've gotten to compete at Calgary a number of times too, haven't you?
Yep.
How many years did you get to do that?
12 times, 2002 all the way through to 14. Never missed a year. When I started to the last one. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Those guys that have all been, it's a journey. You got to start early in the year. You got to commit. At the start, I didn't commit enough. I didn't figure it out. I'm not quite sure I ever figured it out, but it definitely got better as it went on. But that was the pinnacle of the competition calendar, without a doubt. Until it finished in 2014.
Consider like one of your favorites then, to like compete and go towards.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, favourites, pinnacle, where the best were. You betcha, that was the one. Mm-hmm. No, nothing even came close, in my book.
Yeah, it seemed like it was so international. Like a lot of people came, you know, where it's like a lot of ours, it's just a lot of Americans or like some, you know, whereas like it seemed like Calgary, everybody
Oh yeah,
came.
you've seen the pictures of the on the last night, the Sunday night they did the parade of champions. It was a parade of champions of the champions of each nationality. So the high point from Australia being A, all the way through the alphabet. There was sometimes 16, 18, I don't know the numbers, 16, 18 guys on there from Norway, France, Scotland, England, Wales, Belgium, the Canadians always went last. They were the home team guys, so they were always announced last. The Americans, there was a whole bunch. It was amazing. They got to carry their own flag onto or they had one of the little Calgary Stampede, little cowgirls would carry your national flag onto the stage for you, and you get the big cheer from the 30,000 people watching. It was cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool.
And it sounds like you just loved learning from your dad so much. Like, did you learn a lot of your competition stuff from your dad or then from Iain?
No, I would say not to.
Yeah,
not to
I'm all
fluff
ears.
this guy's pillow, but I definitely, again, Iain was a little bit more regimented, structured. So I definitely learned competition style from Iain. Again, when I was apprenticing with him, he was just climbing up from the bottom ranks into the top ranks. So it was really good to follow up with Iain. And then everyday stuff, like Dad was wild, you know, like I remember one day we were shoeing away and we didn't have any shoes on the racks, and we had a bunch of bar stock of concave and we had 5 more to shoe, and Dad said, okay, well, we got 2 to shoe, so you boys shoe those horses and I'll make a bunch of shoes for the next 5 horses.
Yeah.
And I said, oh yeah, okay, old man, you know. And he said, no, I'll eagle eye every one of them. And so he made 5 sets of shoes while we were shoeing the 2 horses, and lo and behold, I think he had to knock in a couple of quarters here and there, and that was about it. You know, he didn't heat up the shoes. He just cold shod them, just to prove a point.
Yeah.
You know, so as far as everyday shoer and fast, like Dad was wicked fast. You know, he would trim the horse and, you know, do a nipper pass and not rasp the foot and drop the foot and just walk over with a hot shoe and just burn it on and then throw it in the water bucket without rasping and just nail it on, you know, just hammer finish. It's something that I've definitely tried to emulate. You know, he just had a different way of looking at the world, but also just horseshoeing. And I've tried to grasp at the straws of what that man actually did in his career and his lifetime. But he was just cut from a different cloth, you know.
He had, if I can just jump in, he had this technique that you've maybe met 1 or 2 other people on your travels that have this quality. And I look at this quality thinking, man, that's cool, because I'm at the other end of the spectrum. If I need to make a I said I didn't practice much, but I'm the type that has to make 6 shoes before I figure that thing out. Whichever, if it's some sort of complicated shoe, I need to make 6, 7, 8 of them before I've got to figure it out. Steve Dixon would come along, take a little look, a little shake of the head, scratch of the melon, and then he would go and he'd be able to, the first one, what I'm trying to say, the first one was as good as his 12th one. If he was to make 12, the first one would still be the best one. He didn't have to practice. He could figure it out on the back of a napkin, as he's done a bunch of times. Go do it, and the first one would be better than the 12th. He had that quality, whereas that was not me. I need to go figure them out, practice, and then
Try to get better, yeah.
One story that stands out for me is I think one year in Calgary, I think they had to make like a diamond toe shoe or something, and so it was sitting on the shop wall for a long time, and he made 3/4 of the shoe. So he made the diamond toe, he made the toe part, and then he made the heel and turned the branch, and then he didn't even fuller it. And
he drew it out.
He drew it out, and then that was about it. He didn't fuller it, he didn't finish it off, and I was like, what the heck, like I was looking at the shoe years later after Calgary. This was a Calgary shoe, and I was like, what the heck, you never finish off the shoe, man. Like you should make piles of these things. He goes, well, I know how to fuller, I know how to make an inside heel, I know how to turn a branch, so I got my measurements right, and that was it. And I think he finished first place in the diamond toe that year, and just made a 3/4, not fullered, not finished off, nothing. Just okay, yeah, I got this, done, move on, And that story has always stuck with me because that's not the way I operate. But I think years later, I ended up finishing off that shoe, and we had a big old competition online, and I think there was probably 30 odd entries into that thing. And
oh yeah, I believe I saw that.
Little Forge Wars,
Grant Moon, Stephen Bean, David Verini, just the who's who of people just entered up, and there's Dad just judging shoes, and it was just cool for I think Iain and I as well, just to bounce things off of him, what he saw, it was just it was a cool.
No, that's a sweet. It's like there's not very many people that can just like finish that off in their head of like, I don't need to fuller it. The fuller is gonna go the same.
And be
every
good
single
at it.
time. It's such like a base. It's
a quality few people have got it.
Yeah,
this guy doesn't.
And he was a team player as well. Like talking to him and stuff, and the same thing with Matt Findler, unfortunately, and me. Like Matt's just more talented than I am, and talking to Dad, it was the same thing with him and James Findler, and he would say, again, like Iain said, my first shoe is just as good as my 12th shoe. So Dad would just bust out whatever he had and then try and give James the time that he needed to gather up the points, get the 9.5s that he needed to help the team. And that always stuck with me, that he was a team player, like all the way through. He was in it for the team, and if he needed to sacrifice himself to make, or to give more time, not make James great because he was already great, but it was just
let him do his thing though.
Yeah, it was a real cool learning experience for me to be like, oh, okay, like a team can work many different ways,
Yeah, you hear guys like we've interviewed a bunch of good teams now. It's not a bunch, but like. Teams like the current AFT with Money and Tom P and stuff like that, and they talk about that. They're like, well, this guy, he's always going to get the same amount of points. No matter if you give him 20 extra minutes or not. That's his point. So we just know we rush him and get him out of the way. And so the other guy that's going to build points up with that little bit extra time, like he gets that extra time. It's a big thing. So you've been on multiple teams, and you've been on the Canadian team too as well, right?
Yeah, twice. Yeah.
Yeah. You checked the box, huh?
Yeah. I've checked the box 3 times. Unfortunately, 2018, my striker, aka Iain Ritchie, let me down. He let me fuller my bar shoe like a 1800s bar shoe, so I missed yeah.
That looks pretty fine, but we're gonna keep going here.
I said, what does it look like? He said, fine. I said, fucking, let's send it then. apparently Jake Engler didn't think the same way, so I missed the team in 2018.
He probably thought it was fine as well.
Oh yeah,
it was
just
the accent.
Not okay.
Yeah.
He didn't understand the accent.
Okay. But no, yeah, check the box 3 times. 2017, I like to rub this in Justin's face. I was team captain. That was the first year I tried out. I made team captain, and it was only because this guy over here, Iain, didn't check the box, and also because Josh Stanley and Ben Mangan aren't Canadians, you know. So I was first place, 4th runner up, baby. Eat it, Justin and Jack. And Sarah Vanderpool.
A win's a win.
But no, I've had just so much fun, just so much learning experience, and as far as competitions go, I think the team events are where you learn the most, just because you trim it and you get 3 of the other guys' opinions. You make your shoe, you get 3 other opinions, and then you go to the contest, and then you get all the judges' opinions on top of your teammates' opinions, and you just go home and you think, wow, I fucking suck.
Yeah, what's hard is like you're like, I haven't found the middle of the road yet. Like that's what I feel like sometimes. I'm just bouncing from like experience, like and like the middle of the road's kind of like it seems like that's the scoring place is the middle of the road, the easiest place to go anywhere and do okay. Like you've done well at many places. Like, what do you try to emulate the judge what they're gonna want, or do you try to just aim for what you think's good, or what? Like when you're going and you're trying to fine tune.
That's a tough one. Last competition I did was our local contest up in British Columbia last October.
Yep.
And I've Jim Quick was our judge. He's a great judge. He's judged me before. I've competed with him on teams at Calgary and stuff. I'd like to think he will definitely disagree, but I like to think that him and I think along the same lines. So I kind of knew.
No one thinks like Jim Quick. I love the guy. He's on his own level. I
like to think him and I, we've got an understanding when it comes to competitions. He has the same qualities. He doesn't a bunch of hammer finish shoes. Didn't like the polishing.
No,
just basics. Fit that thing. Don't rasp it to fit. All that kind of stuff. All this silly basic things. So I knew.
Okay, now you like fine tune it. I think as far as I thought you meant like in general life. I was like, I don't know. I've met both of you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jim, be different.
Come on, Jim. We all love you, but I don't think I think the same on the same lines as Jim either. But when it comes to competitions, I think him and I have got an understanding, and that's not the reason I competed. But I knew, competing, yes, it won't take too much thinking outside the box to, if I do my best, I knew Jim would be happy enough with it, you know.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to emulate a judge, but I've held horses for him when he's been competing. We've been partners at WCBs. We've been on a team at Calgary together. So I know a few of these not little things, but I just know how he thinks and how he operates, and I'm not that far from him. So I hate to say it, but I don't think that much differently from him.
Yeah.
And you would be on the same page at some point. So I was quite keen to practice, work out some kinks, and then give it a shot, and it panned out that time. Before that, we'd been in, or was it just after that, Scotland? Was that the last one?
Yeah.
2 judges I knew well again. That was a team event. To answer that question, I didn't try and emulate both of them. How can you emulate 2? How can you aim for 2? How can you please them both? You can't. But as a team, we knew the direction we wanted to go, so I just knew what was needing done. You read between the lines.
Trying to make a team happy.
Yeah, we talked earlier on about, a certain someone likes his nail lying intentional, so we try and do that. There's definitely things over the years that they like, and you just try and stick to that. You work out that plan in your practice.
Yeah, that's what I think the hardest is when it's more than one judge. Is like that. That's where it's super hard. Like I have a harder time for it. It's like you have the one judge. It seems like you can get a general base, but it's like the multiple judges. At least on the team thing, I think it's easier. But it's like
Craig did one. Yeah. I don't think these guys were around. WCB. It was season 3, the finale. It was January 2010. It was in Denver, Colorado. 5 judges.
5?
Oh, jeez.
A team event or individual?
Well, individual. It was the season. Okay. It was the last one of the year. It was a 2009 season, but it just happened to be in January. It was at the Colorado Winter Fair or something. It was icy. It was the first time I met Chad Chance with his camera, and there was 5 judges.
Do you remember who the judges were?
Yeah, I just remember Bob Pethick never showed up. Jim Keith, probably Bill, Jim Poor, probably Shane. Roy Bloom. And then I think Craig had to step in as number 5. Were you there? Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Was it hectic, like with that many judges?
It was. I made the shoe-in. I won the bucket in the shoe-in, but I'd actually gone to burn my little shoe on before Shane had been able to judge my trim, and he caught me just as I'm going for the first. I'm taking the hot shoe, and I can feel the hand on my shoulder. So I stopped, stepped away. He judged the trim. So it was hectic. It was just hectic to keep a track of. You had to threaten your horse holder to make sure things were done, you know. So, but 5 judges that was never heard of, you know. It's
how
cool.
hectic was it for the judges? How you remember how they went about?
It was before the trailer. It was the 10 stations under the tent. It was an amazing event. It was really cold. It was icy in the ground. We were all slipping and sliding everywhere. I'm sure they had a torrid time, but I couldn't really pay attention to what they were dealing with. I had to pay attention to what I was dealing with, and it was a hell of a deal. But that was one. Obviously, that's an obvious one. You don't try and appease Roy Bloom, or you just got to do your own thing, you know. And
just strive for the basics at that point.
yeah, it was a little 3/4 fuller shoe in the foot with a little heel cut, and then you had to make the old slider for a specimen shoe.
Was there a lot of competitors there? Because like, you know, nowadays they'll have like almost 100 competitors.
Yeah, there wasn't 100. No, there was a fair chunk though. There was a good 60.
Yeah,
it was a good. That was a good
still
event.
Quite a bit.
That was an amazing event. With the 5 judges, and even with the 5 judges, they couldn't pick. That was the first season of the match play. They couldn't even pick a match play winner. I think
that's what I'm kind of wondering.
I think Travis and Dusty had to replay and then replay once more. I think they went 3 times because nobody could pick a winner. Bizarre. I think Dusty eventually got him, and it was an amazing event.
Say like some hard-headed judges on there, not like real hard, but the judges are like, no, this is what I'm.
And this was
this is what I see.
There had only been 2, maybe 3. This was probably the 3rd match play, and it was all new to everybody. But there they were. It was definitely Travis and definitely Dusty, and they went head to head. I think they had to go 3 times because they could not split the winner.
Jeez.
And eventually they all arm wrestled and Dusty took it, so it was good.
Yeah.
It was brilliant.
Really? Is that how it ended?
No.
Oh, I was gonna say.
No.
I think there was one that ended like that.
In an arm wrestle?
Dude, I think there was something that did arm wrestle and it was Jack Kettle.
I
think
My mum could arm wrestle
for some
Jack
reason
Kettle.
I have that in my head. Jack in the middle of all these people arm wrestling for somebody. Like he was a stand-in.
I don't know. Maybe that was just like a bar thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Jack's winning 9 out of 10 times because that guy masturbates. Let me tell you. I shared a hotel room with him, and holy, use some lube, Jack.
Goodness. Note to self.
Note to self.
Turn on the shower or something. I don't want to hear that thing slapping around.
No, Jack, I'm not going to room with you.
So that's why Jack slept in the bedroom in the middle of the field.
There you go. It's all clear now, isn't it?
That's why they call him 5-second Jack.
It's not his bull riding skills.
It's not his bull, right? Poor Jack. Man, sorry, Jack.
It's the Jack Kettle roast, isn't it?
We're really letting him have it, yeah.
Pretty easy.
All 10 Canadian horseshoers are going to tune into this. You guys have a pretty strong association up there, though, don't you? In Canada.
We do not have a national association.
Okay.
We have our Western Canadian Farriers Association, which is 4 provinces: Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, British Columbia. It's a massive piece of land. Then you've got your Ontario Association, your Quebec Association, and there might even be is it still?
Maritimes, yeah.
There's still a Maritimes Association.
Okay.
So we're all split up. We're getting closer and closer together. The lines of communication are being opened, but it's a big old chunk of land to.
So who do they decide how the team's gonna get like which association gets to choose the team?
It's just there's nothing written in stone. It's just a verbal agreement that the Ontario guys, the Quebec guys, the WCFA will swap every 2 years. They'll swap around where the contest is going to be held.
Okay.
There is a Canadian Competitive Farrier Society. We have a guy that kind of is in charge of that, and we have a Canadian team manager, which is yours truly.
Oh, okay, nice. So you get to go back with the guys to Stoneley now.
We were there last October for the Clydesdale shoeing thing,
Yep.
which was the first weekend, and I actually came home, did 3 days work, and then went back to Stoneley just to watch the team. Whereas the team competed in Aberdeen, stuck around, practiced, and then went to Stoneley. They didn't get a chance to come home, but I did. I just went back to keep an eye on them. They're all big boys and girls that were able to look after themselves. A new team, maybe they needed more hand-holding, babysitting, I don't know. It was a massive learning curve for every one of them. They're going to go to the Classic.
Do you meet up with them for their practices?
We did at the start of the summer, middle of the summer. Since they come back from Stoneley, I've not seen them. We keep in touch, we keep in contact, we're helping them with sponsorship stuff. Maybe, looking at hindsight, they maybe should have come to the coast and had a little bit of help from this guy or me or James or whoever was out there. There's a whole crowd of us, but they've had a busy schedule. They've just not had enough time to put us into their schedule. So they've done it. They've been busy. That's the one thing. They've been very busy. I tip my hat to them. They've done a bunch of practicing.
Yeah, that's what they were saying. I think they were saying every other week.
They've
been together.
They've been together. Yeah, the team was picked late. It's a new team. It's a rookie team. They just had to hit the ground running. They had to fast track to get to where they are right now. So they've been up against it. They've had a tough go and they've dealt with it. Their effort level has been
Head on.
absolutely brilliant.
But so there has to be some like waves at Stoneley in the rankings, and that is like, is that hard sometimes?
Waves in the rankings. What does that mean?
Yeah, like when I went to Stoneley with you guys when I was on the WCB Cat 2 team, you guys placed I think fourth or so.
Sure.
Because that's pretty good.
Yeah,
right?
that seems to be our little pigeonhole, fourth or fifth. Fourth.
What did they rank at this last one?
They were further down.
Yeah, so it has to be a little bit like, is it just kind of like, it is what it is? Or do you think they have a hard time with it and want to uphold, what the other teams have done before them?
I think they know, they knew going that they were a young team.
Yeah.
I don't think they were expecting they weren't going to take the world by storm. Also, I threw a curveball at them by suggesting that they do the World Clydesdale horseshoeing competition the weekend before. So that just added more practice, it now diluted the practicing for the Stoneley event. So maybe that was my fault, but that definitely kept them busy. Maybe didn't give them enough time to concentrate on Stoneley. There was definitely for you guys that have been to Stoneley, picking the shoes, picking the judges' shoes, which side of the horse you're shoeing. There's definitely a system. That was all miscommunicated. That was not set out in stone for them clearly at the start. So they kind of got a bit mixed up on that one. That definitely set them back a little bit. But yeah, they were further down the ladder than previous years, but they still did an amazing job preparing for it, and they'll only be better in the next couple of years for sure.
No, they seem like they're all go-getters. Like they're all nice people too. So it's like,
yeah,
they'll do good.
Oh yeah, I mean, nice people aside, their effort level has been first class.
Yeah. Kim's nice, anyways. I don't know.
Kim's amazing.
I don't know.
The other four.
Riley's a bit of a dick.
all Rileys are,
but
can't have enough Rileys.
It's just what we do.
Something in the name.
Yeah, we're just all fucked.
It's French for cocksucker.
Yeah.
Like, it's a multiple year commitment, and like I've been so lucky to be on the team with really good guys. Like Matt Finler, not Ian, but like Matt Finler, and you know, like really seasoned guys that have been there, done that kind of thing. And when you start with a new team, a rookie team, it's multiple year. You know, you got to stick with it for multiple years to start making a dent in it. And I think that's
just what we're saying to you guys earlier on. This
Yeah.
is not a quick fix. You guys are not going to go to Kentucky next month and whip the shit out of these guys.
No.
It is I tell people at home, it's a 2 or 3 year project if you want to make the Canadian team. Although some years all you need to do is tick the box. A lot of years you don't. You got to work your arse off. And to do it properly, it's a 2 or 3 year project where you get on that team, try and stay together as a team, and climb that ladder. I can't stress that enough, that it's not just a 1 year shot, a 1 year deal.
Did you ever so you were saying earlier that there was a time where you started climbing the ladder on the competition world. Do you remember what clicked for you to make that climb start happening?
Couple of things. I bought my first house in 2004, 5, something like that, and I just had a little garage to practice in. And every time I start the forge and start banging away in the anvil, the neighbour would complain and send the bylaws officer over. I lived in town, so the bylaws officer really put a damper on my practice.
Yeah.
Man, I was choked. 2008, I moved to a little acreage, nice 60 by 40 shop, make as much noise and play as much crap music as I really want. Nobody's going to bother me. So in 2008, the practice level went up. 2009, this was a big one for me. I joined this group called the WCB. It was the third season. I'd called Craig. I'd spoken to Bill Poor, who had come to Walla Walla in 2008, I think. And he said, "Oh yeah, man, you sign up, come on down, you know." And I'd gone to my first WCB, Madison, 2009. I just went. I was the only Canadian there. I think I must have been the first Canadian to go to the WCB. I could be wrong, but anyway, I thought it was the first one. Third season. There was no match play at the first couple. It was this Fast and Furious thing where you were racing yourself to jump pieces of steel up or draw pieces of steel out. It wasn't mandatory. You could pick and choose if you want to do it. And then they had just the same format with the 2 forging goes and then the shoe.
It was just an extra little class.
It was Fast and Furious. He called it Fast and Furious. He stuck you in the corner and you give him your $20 if you wanted to do it. So the first 2 contests that year, that's what it was. And I was like, I want no part of that. I'm not fast and I'm not furious. I'm just going to give it a big old body swerve. But the third one I went to
was that the same one where like they filmed it with money in Austin?
Nope. That was something else. That was a TV show.
Oh, okay.
That was a different thing.
But that wasn't like the same kind of format?
Nah.
Like, okay.
That was where they made the corkscrew.
Yep.
Aye, different thing.
Okay.
This was just a fire in the corner. I think it was Craig's uncle or Craig's dad that just used to run it. Oh, hey, come on over, have a shot. There's $20, give it a shot, you know. And I was like, I want no part of that. I was not confident in that from that. But in the third one I did, it was Epping, New Hampshire, and that was the first match play, and everybody was in. You had no choice in the matter. You were in. You were drawn against him. You were drawn against him. It was great, and we had a ton of fun. And I've actually got I won the first one. I won the first match, but I've got the buckle. I think I got a rasp. I got a free rasp. I got a new rasp, which I've probably still got because I look after my rasps. There was no money involved. I got a buckle and a rasp, and that was it. But I got my name on the board first, and I've still got the shoes. Gene Leisure and I were in the final. I've got the shoes at home. I've brought them to different WCB since, show people just the evolution of this one particular competition. You know, it was just a little plain stamp shoe. 11 inches, 12 inches to 3/4 to 8. You had to make a little hind plain stamp with a little clip on it. Todd Walker was our judge, and it was cool. It was a ton of fun with the music going, and yada yada yada. It was brilliant.
Do you remember how long the time frame was?
It was a generous 6 or 7, 8 minutes or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
At the time, you're thinking, whoo-hoo.
Yeah.
But you look at them now, and the evolution.
That's roadsters now.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
crazy. It's crazy. I've got Madrid's and Bean's final shoes, little roadsters from 2016 when James and I judged in Vegas. Were you guys at that one? And they made the final, and the shoes and they sit next to the shoes that Gene and I made. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Chalk and cheese, you know. So back to the question.
Yeah.
That was the other reason I feel my skill level improved, grew, was joining this WCB. Aye, so since 2009 we made the top 10 in Calgary, and then since then it was a constant fight to get that top 10 in Calgary thing was no small feat. That was a tough thing to do. Just ask anyone some of those guys that do it every year, they must just think it's pretty damn easy, but for me it was a real fight every year. And then 2009 was the first time I made it, which was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Did you make it more times than that?
One other time, the last one, 2014, which was the best one, you know, because everybody was there.
Yeah, the last one.
The last one, everybody was there. That was something for the rest of my life. I'll never forget the last one in the big tent for the final.
Like, was it just like the energy coming out of the place because just everybody knew it was the last one, so they're just.
Everybody knew it was the last one. Hans Mustad was there, the big sponsor. You name it. Any hot shot on the face of the planet was there trying to make that top 10, trying to make that top 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy to see the difference even between Calgary shoes and like some of the WC. I get that it's like a different competition altogether, but I have some Calgary shoes that Marshall sent me. And like those compared to like some of the WCB shoes now, they're just a completely different beast. It seems like. All right, my opinion: apples and oranges.
Yeah.
You
go to the WCB,
like.
You've got an hour.
Yep.
Oh.
The shoes, you can get some difficult shoes, but you got to Calgary and you look at some of the shoes. Marshall will tell you, and I mean Marshall knows that competition better than anyone.
Yeah.
He will tell you some of the tough shoes you had to knock out in.
Like 30 minutes, 45 minutes.
40, 45 minutes. Was it 35? For a pair of Roadsters ones with the 5/8 toe. Some of these guys can answer the questions better than I can. And it suited some people more than others. I love Travis Coons. Mm-hmm. He's an amazing, that is one amazing horseshoer, right? Amazing horseshoer. And in my humble opinion, WCB suited him perfectly. He was 4-time national champion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
it suited him. He's got a slow, methodical swing. Some people might say I'm talking a lot of nonsense here, but I think he has a slow, methodical swing, and that 1 hour time limit suited him fine. But you go up to Calgary, the high altitude, and you try and make pair of something, German army shoes and a double dobber with a welded on toe bar in 40 or 45 minutes, he's going to struggle. He's going to struggle more than Gene Leisure, who goes so fast, or Beanie. I mean, Beanie's, in my opinion, the best of the best. Calgary suited those guys, whereas it just didn't ever suit Travis, and he never made the final. You're national champion for 5 years, never made the top 10. You know.
It is. It's like as a novice, I remember watching Travis and thinking like, is he gonna get done?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if he's gonna. And then he gets done. It's just like everything falls into pieces perfectly. But I do see how.
So to see your WCB shoes, some of them can be like jewelry, chromed up, and just amazing competition shoes. Whereas Calgary, it was a scoring system as well. Different system of getting scored. You got so many points for dimensions. It took me years. It took me 5-6 years to figure out you got maximum points for having this thing working, the millimeters.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me 6 years to figure that crap out. And then once I did, you got your 10 for the dimension. Once you got your 10 for you were higher. You were in the top 20% the minute you got your dimensions, because so many people forgot about it. If you could get flat, level your nail holes and that thing.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
It was a different animal.
It was judged pretty like. Was it just because they had so many shoes to get through? They had to find a way to judge it really easy. There wasn't like the 5/8 Roadster deal that it was like had to be there, or just
not necessarily. You go to Vegas when we judged back in 2006. There was 120 people. Calgary there was maybe, I don't know. Some years there was 50, 60, 70. I think one year they had over 100, but there's never a ton more people competing at Calgary than there were at any WCBs. So it wasn't the volume. It was more of an Ironman. A battle of the fittest, strongest, fastest. Whereas WCB, I'm not taking anything away from those guys, but that is more of a high-end quality, get the details right type of competition, which suits others.
Could be more like a marathon compared to a sprint. in the
I
sense.
didn't
Yeah.
know. I don't even know if it's a marathon. Yeah, the marathon's still pretty dang hard, but it's
Aye.
like
They're equally as hard. They're
Yeah.
equally as hard.
Yeah, they're both. But that makes sense. Of like looking at the shoes of both sides, is where it's like the Calgary shoes I have. They're still all flat. Nail holes are good. Everything like that. They just have like a few more hammer marks in them.
Yeah, yeah.
Some other weird.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, so it's just like they are just not as
Yeah, there's just no time
Also,
to
time
polish
for
them. So, speaking candidly here, I will. I just hope this new one at Spruce Meadows in the summer is more like the old one, where it's a little more rough and ready, a little more fast and furious. It's not going to suit this old guy, 50 years old. It's not going to suit me, but I would like to see the strongest, fastest.
I think it will be a little more that way. I don't know for sure, but I remember right before it got canceled last time, like some of those were pretty fast and wicked
Yeah.
classes. Like the one was, I think it was 2 9-inch pieces of 1 1/4, and you had to make that Australian draft
Yeah.
line in 25 minutes.
Yeah. If we can do,
It was
but that-
cooking.
but I'll let that be handled by the organisers because they know way more than I do. But I would personally like to see it go the fast and furious route, and then we'll pick our big champ. You know.
Yeah.
Are you guys pretty pumped to see a big contest coming back to Canada then?
Oh, I think so. I think having any type of world championships, just the fact that it's in Canada, in Alberta, brilliant. But just the fact that we're having a world championship when the old one went away in 2014, and there was talk about having it in Australia or having it in the UK or somewhere else. It was cool, but to have it in the backyard would be even better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's a
suppose
sweet
so.
deal.
Aye.
Do you plan on going back to a team deal?
Oh yeah. I'm definitely a team competitor. Just like I never competed at Calgary, but I'm much more of like Iain was saying. I'm much more of a Travis Coons. You know, I like to make one shoe and put it on a foot, and that's me. You know, I'll definitely.
You
compete
wish you were more like Travis Coons.
Yeah, no, I do. Yeah. I wish I only had one button up and the rest undone, and walk around drunk all the time. No, I'm kidding, Travis, I love you, but no, I definitely like the team aspect. With that being said, with Spruce in our backyard and me never competing at Calgary, I definitely think I'll throw my hat in the ring and see what happens. But yeah, I definitely think that I've come leaps and bounds just through the team competitions, just by having everyone tell me what I suck at.
Yeah. I don't think about how old are you right now?
I'm 29 years young.
Yeah, that's pretty young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same age as you, right?
30.
Huh. Pretty damn close.
30,
Yeah.
30. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, it's getting pretty late, and you guys got a
Oh yeah.
bit of a drive home, but
Ian does.
I'm not gonna
I'm gonna take one of these dabs that Riley keeps talking about and hit the old motor highway.
just pass out.
But a question we like to ask everybody is like, who is 4 people that you look up to and hold in high regard and
You're Mount Rushmore.
consider it as a Mount Rushmore? Like, who are 4 people?
Go for it.
Well, let you start, John.
Sure. Yeah. Easy first 2. The 2 guys I worked with, Iain Ritchie. Even though he's an asshole and a dickhead, he barely speaks English, and
Hold it to 1.
yeah. Robbie's helping him with his first grade right now. With his youngest son. So Iain obviously 1. My dad, Steve Dixon, he's definitely 1. And then after that, I would say just for shoeing. Honestly, I absolutely look up to and love Vincent Lamal. I think that he does just amazing stuff. And then 4th. I'm gonna go to Iain, and then I might just finish off my 4th. I'll think about this. Iain.
Hey, well, for me, Steve Dixon. Steve Dixon was the man. He made everything fun. He got me here in the first place, so it's his fault. Definitely James Findler. You guys all know James, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hall of Famer.
He was with you guys at Andy Readersmith's that year. Over at Stoneleigh. He
Yes.
came with Matt and
Came with
everybody.
Matt.
Yep.
So definitely James. James helped me a lot with the competition stuff, everyday stuff. and he's not one to share his thoughts. He never seems to get asked. You don't see him do clinics. He's judged a lot. He's judged all over the world. But if you ever get a chance to talk with him, sit with him,
Sounds like James is one we need on the podcast one day.
Definitely. He's not going to say anything, but
yeah.
we call him dial tone.
My old boss, Sandy Duff. He's the guy that started me. He just passed away, as I mentioned earlier on last spring. He was an amazing guy. He was in his 80s when he passed away. I mean, so many things I could tell you about him, but humble, quiet. He would knock these things out with his golf sweater still on. It was effortless. So many things. Quiet around horses, quiet around people. I got so much out of him. So definitely him. And then a fourth. I don't know. Fourth.
It's a hard one. We got a visitor.
Oh, hey there, Larry.
I mentioned Travis Coons earlier on. I get to see a lot of Travis's work when a lot of his horses come up our way in the summer. I think his work's great. He shoes a lot of concave, well, all concave. He shoes a lot of toe clips. I think he puts a lot of the thick section on, so I get a lot of juicy resets all summer. Mm-hmm. Is he my fourth guy? He's definitely one I hold in a high regard. Obviously, Craig.
Yeah.
Craig. I've known Craig for years. Before I even came here, we used to compete against each other at Closeburn. Definitely, I'd go with Craig and Travis. Would be fourth and fifth equal. You know, Craig. I met him years ago when he was still a young punk with the flat top and the stripy hair, and he even had the mullet.
Yeah.
My God. And who
stripes?
Yeah.
Who hasn't learned from that guy?
He's been on many lists.
Oh yeah.
Or the top 4.
A lot of people throw him on there because he's probably the most famous farrier in the world, you know. So definitely him. Can I choose one more?
Sure.
Yeah. Mr. Bean, Mr. Stephen Bean. That's going to be pretty close with Beanie these days. We chit chat a lot. And in my opinion, he's the best of the best, the competition guy right now. You watch him do a clinic, he doesn't have to practice prep, doesn't have to do it. You want him to do a bevel demonstration on the horse, boom, it's done.
Boom.
I like his style. I've judged him a bunch. I was able to disqualify him at the convention once. Doesn't matter, he's judged me a bunch. But when he competes, he does it with a smile on his face. He's always laughing, having a giggle, having a bit of fun. So he would definitely be another one of mine.
That's cool.
But let's stop there because I'll just keep picking back guys. There's definitely Travis and Craig and Beanie for sure.
Those are
After Steve,
fourth in a bundle.
Findler, aye, and Sandy.
I've got a fourth equal, I think, Justin Fountain and Matt Findler, just two of my best friends, you know, and it's just really good to have two guys that are like-minded that you can call up and just bounce things off of, talk about everyday shoeing, just talk about the kids, talk about your life, talk about mortgages and marriages and all the M words. Moms. And for me, that's what this thing's all about, you know, just meeting new people and making connections, and those two have really just helped me along and kept me interested. You know, some days when you're shoeing, you know, like Iain said, you're just shoeing like one horse in 40 minutes or whatever. You got 14 or 12 or 10 or whatever it may be on the list that day, and you can just call somebody up and bitch and complain and surmise.
Feel better and off you go again.
Yeah.
Just what I was saying to you again. What was your man's name? Trey. Just chatting with him earlier on, young kid, and he was asking about the competition, and I can't stress enough that being around this farrier family that we keep going on about, and you can pick up the phone anytime if you're having a bad day. You're having, you know, it's a Monday morning, it's raining sideways, and you're going to go out there and you've got a bunch on your list. Just to know that you're coming to see you guys at the weekend, or we're going to do a clinic in a couple of weeks, it just inspires you. It just makes it fun. It just makes it more fun.
It really does.
Oh yeah.
Knowing that any of you guys are a phone call away, this guy, Justin, Matt, whoever, you know, that it just makes it fun having this farrier family rather than being isolated, thinking you've got it all going on when you really don't.
No, those are two good ones, man. Because I think that's like one thing too we try to do with this is let people know, like, everybody's got the same crap going on. You know what I mean? Like, it's pretty, we work in such an isolated job. It's pretty easy to think like I'm the only one who feels it. But then when you call your buddy and you tell him all the shit, then he's like, yeah, dude, it's happening over here too.
Yeah.
Like, you're not alone in it.
Barrel racers, am I right?
You know the difference between a barrel racer and a bowling? Never mind.
And on that note, thank you everybody for joining us tonight, and thank you guys for all your help.
Thanks
and
for having
us.
joining
Thanks
us for
a
an
bunch
episode.
today.
Thanks for having us. Thanks to Brian for inviting us down today.
Yeah, thank you.
Again, just recharge the batteries and pumped to get home and crack on Monday.
Exactly. And always remember, you're just our top hat.
Thank you, Ian.
You're welcome.
John.
Thanks, guys.